Microphone check, 1, 2, what is this? It's the 5'7" assassin in the podcast business. I am your host, Rohan Patra, the rap music plug at your service.
Here we are again at the end of a rainbow.
The Rap Music Plug podcast presented by QLC TV is the remedy to the I don't have anything good to listen to problem. Through in-depth album and song reviews, as well as artist interviews and general rap commentary sprinkled in between on all of what the mainstream and underground rap scenes have to offer, this is your one-stop shop to knowing what to add to your queue, play next, or pop into your record player. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is, like, I feel like if I, as like a business professional, if I look at how to maximize the impact of my music, I feel like I could take my time and work on new music. Actually, what I'm doing right now is my next album is going to be done all on cassette tape. I'm going to do it all analog, no digital.
Hey, I love that.
Because, everybody's doing digital. So let's hear what all analog sounds like.
Yo,
I'm not even gonna mix it.
cassettes are coming back in style for real. Like, there's some people that are really into design. Like, I don't know if you know about Gang PTP, Purple Tape. Yeah. I interviewed him before, and he's just fucking.
He makes music on tape, or he just sells.
No, he
tapes?
did. No, he does the design. I mean, he makes his own music, great, but he has his label, and he does the design for like many other artists, even outside of.
I have my greatest hits record on tape from Darko's label. Darko the Soup.
Yeah. I fuck with Darko. All right, cool. So,
that's what I was saying is I just want Big Baby Gandhi just to be such a tight meme on itself, and then that's, to me, is gonna be doper than having one or two songs be on some Spotify playlists. Who cares?
Yeah,
that's not really where I want to go with it.
I feel that.
So that people just, even long before I am dead, you hear the name Big Baby Gandhi, and you just start laughing. You're like, "What's that? A fat Indian guy who thinks he's black?" And you just start laughing, and that's like, okay, you know how there's so few Asians in media,
or media,
or like all media, all celebrities.
That's
really.
true. Yeah,
there's so few that just by that alone, that like I'm part of the map. Just because I have a funny ass name,
It's
and then
impactful.
it's kind of funny if you dig into it. It's like, oh, there's music too. So it's like, that's kind of tight in that way. So I'm really taking an eagle's eye view at what Big Baby Gandhi could be. Because I have a full-time day job that I focus on. So I need to maximize my non-daytime stuff.
I feel that. I mean, I so relate to that. It's you have spare time. You can't be just needlessly or like mindlessly.
Well, you want to streamline it so it fits in with your
lifestyle,
style,
Yeah.
Because like I make music, I practice all the time. I make beats, but I don't feel like putting them out because there's also a level of work, when you put them all together and you launch a project, and I want to save that for a better time. But in the meantime, I'm just like, oh, I'll just keep saying the name Big Baby Gandhi. I'm just trying to have viral posts, and then you just see Big Baby Gandhi. That's actually an idea called salience. I don't know if you're familiar with this. It's actually an economic principle.
I think I am. But...
So salience is actually kind of how you can refer to memes, right? The mimetic condition. Basically, it's this idea that you see something so often that it becomes a parody of itself. So that's what a meme is.
Yeah.
It's essentially salience. So that's kind of how I see it going. Because there's concepts to the internet that are inherent too. So as things evolve, there's always going to be memes, right? Memes is just like that collective salience.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I totally agree. That makes a lot of sense.
Also, we live in a world where the matrix is real. So in order to understand how you're being programmed, you have to almost have your own counter programming. So you're not too unencumbered by false messaging and brainwashing propaganda by the CIA. Just saying. Because there's things that we know in our history that have happened, and to assume that they're not happening now is to ignore the past.
That's a good point. That's actually something I think verbatim, not verbatim, but literally pretty much verbatim, that I think I remember Kanye saying when he was going on those Yeezus, like those really epic Yeezus interviews. He said the like literally that, and the second point about what his album he was trying to do is to change the programming and to
Mhm.
put his own thing, his own counter, like
Well,
literally kind of
think
exactly what
about,
he's
for
saying.
example, what you learn about history, like world history and U.S. history, right? From ages like 12 to 18. And then after age 18, how much history you have to unlearn because it's like a Eurocentric
Yeah,
telling.
whitewash and all that. Yeah.
You're almost better off not having learned it at all until you're like an adult and then learning it in a non-biased way.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I actually don't think schools should teach history. I don't think they should do that.
Why?
Teach
Because
them
they do
read,
such a
write,
bad job.
coding.
They just do a bad job of
Well,
it.
it's
Yeah.
it's like you're entrusting it to the state. So you're always gonna get the state's version of what happened. There's never gonna be a non-biased history retelling from the
Well, there
state,
won't be a
no matter what
non-bias,
country
but
you are.
you could make a decent
You
attempt.
don't
I
have to
think
be in school to learn that stuff. You know what I mean?
but will people do that themselves?
I don't think like it's not helping now.
Yeah, that's not the worst take.
People are
It's
learning
not the
about each
worst
other's
take.
cultures on TikTok. They don't need to know about, like whatever it is. Also, like people don't even like school anyway. If we keep it real in the US, you're not supposed to like learning about stuff. It's actually corny to learn in America. Let's keep it real. Or at least the way I grew up or where I come from. It's corny to be interested
Interesting.
and to learn about things. That's no bueno. Yeah. Well, whatever. I'm not gonna rail too hard against the government anymore. I'm not gonna learn my lesson.
Okay, I enjoyed this, and I was already recording, and I'm just gonna keep it. It's a nice little sneak peek. I will still introduce you guys, whoever is listening. This is not how we normally start these interviews, but I love it. To this great guest that we're gonna be diving into things with today. So I am here with an artist who is from New York, formerly of Das Racist, Heems, Greedhead label, had a great solo career to date with some really well received projects like Big Fucking Baby, No One to Look Up to, We Live in a Society. He's thoughtful, charismatic, as you can just hear in this brief interview that you've heard so far, and he's funny as hell. And he's also currently a practicing medical writer, if I said that correctly.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I am pleased to welcome someone who I've been really excited to speak to for so many reasons, but just as someone who genuinely affected me positively, first hearing him in, I think, 2012 or 13,
Yep.
as a brown hip hop head growing up. So pleased to welcome Big Baby Gandhi. How are you doing?
Yo, yo. Gandhi.
Yeah, that's the name. That's the name, man. So you're originally from Bangladesh. You immigrated
Yeah.
to New York when you were pretty young, right?
Yeah, like 6 years old.
6 years old. Okay. So you did most of your growing up here. So like what kind of
Yeah.
folks were you surrounded with when you were younger? Like what was your exposure to hip hop growing up?
It's like so I grew up in New York. Um, so I first I'm from like Main Street Flushing, Main Street, Cherry Avenue, and then Colden Towers. So it's just mad people, mad Black, Dominican, Indian kind of mix. Not there really wasn't like there were like 4 or 5 Indian people. Well, Bengali people, not really
Mhm.
Indian, but we all hung out and well, it's New York. Everybody does hip hop. Every male, well, when I was growing up, every male 18 to 30 could rap. Everybody could
Yeah,
rap. And
sick.
it's just something you did. And then, so I was into it really young. It was low key like how I fit in. There was that when 8 Mile dropped, we I started doing like battles in junior high and stuff. I wouldn't win, but I could like, I could like do crazy flows and stuff. So yeah, it was just like my way of fitting in. I really love rap music. I love all music really. And then And then growing up, I used to, when I was like 13, I used to make beats. I had a cassette tape. I didn't have a computer until I was like 18. And
Okay.
then, so I had like, no, like 16. And then, so I had pause tapes. I would make beats. And then I used to make beats on Fruity Loops. Like, I had like Fruity Loops 7. That's how long ago it was. And then, yeah, just made beats, always did like rap stuff. Grew up, you know, in New York, in the streets, just like regular stuff.
And so like
I
what
mean, everyone I knew listened to rap growing up, and then a bunch of us learned about the elements of hip hop, became hip hop heads.
what were some of the key artists that like particularly like informed your style? Because it's very much not like I can't nothing really comes to mind immediately where it's like, oh, you probably listen to this guy. That's why you sound like
Um,
this. It's pretty unique.
I definitely I'm influenced by like almost everything. Um, I feel like because I listen to so much that I try to avoid biting, so I try to
Hmm.
come up with some original styles. But there's some bass stuff in hip hop that's at like the root of everything. So like when I was really young, it was like I got into hip hop with like Biggie. Biggie was like my favorite rapper. They play him on the radio all the time.
Yeah.
And then I used to make little mixtapes on cassette. Mr. C would do during the summer. He would do like the 9 at 9 or something. So he would just play old school at noon every day for like an hour, and I would make tapes of all those songs, and I really liked them, but I never knew what they were, and I would just listen to them from like age like 9 to 13. And then when I was like 13, I like went to the library and I Googled the lyrics to these songs I've been listening to, and then I'm like, oh, and then turns out they were just like classic hip hop songs like Tribe Called Quest and
Yeah.
um, Black like Black Moon and all these like the classic hip hop stuff. So yeah, and then from there I'm like, oh, let me just listen to every hip hop album ever, and then I did. So it's like like I guess prior to like 2013, I've listened to like every rap album like ever made, and then I love all the other genres because I started sampling too. So
Yeah, that's really clear in your music. Like even on I don't know if it's the Big Fucking Baby. I think you sampled it was some kind of like a Bjork type artist. I don't know if it actually was Bjork. Could have been someone else then.
I have a tape I did that it's all Bjork beats that I did with Cool AD. It's called like Hyphy Ballads.
Oh, I've not heard that.
So yeah, so it's like 5 tracks. All the beats are Bjork samples. But
Oh,
I
Bjork's a
think I might
genius.
have sampled Bjork too. Oh, I did it for a track on Darko's album.
Oh, that's what I was listening to all
Yeah,
those like yesterday. Yeah, it's the Darko project. Yeah, you sampled a Bjork song. It was I very much caught that. That was dope. So
yeah.
like yeah,
Bjork's
what
like one of my favorite artists.
yeah, so like that's what we were talking about a bit earlier, that you're obviously super into hip hop, very influenced by like all of it, but what kind of other artists and what kind of
If
other
you
particular
look at my
genres?
like my projects, I sample for almost all of it, but I pull such crazy shit that no one's gonna even think that it's like they're not even gonna be catching where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Like I've sampled some of the craziest shit ever, like because I listen to like when I say everything, I listen to like like 60s folk and like like I listen to all doo-wop, every doo-wop song, every Motown song, every like whatever you can listen to, I've like listened to it already. Like I had a
Mm-hmm.
period where I would listen to music for like 12 hours a day for like 12 years straight. So it's
That's
like
crazy.
you can just do all that. Yeah.
And
I mean, that's how you know I got a autistic mind, but that's what happened.
no, it's good for music at least. Damn. Um, I'm curious, like because you're like clearly like you were very much primed to, given like who you were surrounded by, everybody was into music, into hip hop. How like I'm curious because when we were talking about when we first kind of connected, we were talking about a whole like brown representation and all of that stuff. But before we really
Yeah.
get into that, like I'm just curious, how was it like with your family in terms of did they encourage this? Were they a very musical family themselves? Or were they like, why are you wasting your time doing this music kind of thing? Get back to
Um,
school.
my uncle in Bangladesh is like actually like a legit songwriter. He's written like 100 or 200 songs.
Wow.
On like pretty classic stuff. So my mom's side of the family, like always very musical. We all like listened to it growing up. But growing up, it was like basically only like Bollywood songs till I got. But then, like even my older brother, he only listens to mainly Indian music. But me, it's like that's how I kept myself busy. So I listened to everything. They didn't they didn't really know I was like I guess when I first started booking shows, then I told them there wasn't really an issue about it. It's just like more like we grew up really poor, so they understood that I was always going to put money first. So basically, like when I was in college, that's when I had a lot of like my biggest success. And then I guess like the last 6-7 years, I've been working full-time job and just making music on the side. And I feel like I do pretty well. Like I have pretty decent sales, but at the same time, it's like if I was making music full-time every day, I don't know like what would have been better for me. Because at the same time, a lot of people who are still making music, who came up when I did, they all fell off. Whereas I feel like my music is kind of like it's not trying to copy a trend. It's like I'm telling you how it is right now. So it depends. Like for me, is like I look at myself as an adult and I have to plan for my future. So I have that day job, where I work in pharma. And I'm trying to save money, buy property, and make investments. Because low key as a rapper, that's how you're judged. Like if you're like 40 and you put out a fire album, they're like, okay, that's cool. But if you're like 40 and then there's a rumor that you made good investments, they respect the hell out of you. That's the route I'm trying. I'm just keeping it real. Like I'm buying my first place like this next month. So
yeah, congratulations.
Yeah,
that's big. Is it New York?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's even more of a congratulations. I know that shit ain't cheap.
Well, yeah, because I grew up poor and I grew up here, so I don't want to be a loser like the people that came around me. And I don't know what I don't know how you're supposed to. There's a lot of fantasy when rappers talk about how much money they have, but for me, it's like I came up poor, and even to be upper middle class, that's a huge success for me. At the same time, I feel like rappers who brag about their money are barely upper middle class. So I feel like it's a false way that they present financial, terms to you. I mean, it depends what type of rap you listen to. Obviously, if you listen to underground rap, you might not think that way. But
I mean, I'll tell you this, like just doing the podcast really for the past year in particular, as I've been getting not only listening to more underground hip hop and indie artists, but just getting to know them more, and then also getting really like heavily into like Bandcamp and what they have to offer there. I love the platform. It really was eye-opening. It's like it's one of those things. It's not like it was a secret, but like when you look at some of the sales, obviously there's other ways to make money with music. There's shows, which I have no insight into really like how much money these people are making, but it's like it was really eye-opening.
Didn't shows die after COVID? Like
yeah, but that's the thing. Shows are dying, but also it's like I also think I was also just like under kind of a really pointless, or not pointless, just completely fabricated false impression that, I mean, yeah, I assume no one, not, I never, sorry, I'm rambling. I never assumed that all of these artists were clearly just making enough money to live off of music alone. I knew that wasn't true, but I assumed a larger, more majority of them were than it's actually true, which is a very small minority actually can have the privilege of doing that. And I was like, damn, what have I been thinking? It's like, damn, these artists making amazing music and they're making a few grand a month, which is maybe good enough for them, but they have to have other jobs. And it's
bro,
like,
let's break it down by numbers.
Yeah.
Because this is something that people in music, they don't want to talk about this because, it hurts their ego, but it's better to be transparent about how much they're paid so that people can, like, okay, if people know that like the average rapper makes like 50K a year, why are they gonna listen to music that's like, oh, I'm fucking your bitch with my VVS? Do you know what I mean? The illusion is part of it. They need that illusion to sell their music. So why would they be transparent about how little they make? Okay, so this is pre-COVID. Let's say you were a touring artist right? And you were mid-market, like I don't know, like a good example to use, but like
Mid-market,
underground rap.
would that be like Currency? I mean, he has a huge fan base though. That's like
Yeah, he would be a
dedicated.
little if he's mid, then I'm talking about below mid,
Yeah,
like
yeah, he's
like
like upper
locally
mid.
mid. Let's say
Yeah.
there's a local mid, someone with let's say half the fan base of Currency, right?
Okay.
That person touring merch, music streams, everything combined, probably estimated, let's say they'd make 75,000 a year. After tax, yeah, 75K a year after tax.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's not right. It would be before tax. Let's say you average a million plays of your music on Spotify a year. Okay, that person. So a million plays is only like I think like $5,000.
Yeah, it's
Or,
nothing.
and then if you factor in touring and merch for that artist, they probably make about 50K a year, which is good. But think about like music. There's no 401k. It's not covering your health care. That's not.
And you don't
You
have
know
a
what I mean?
guaranteed career of 40 years
Yeah.
like you do in other businesses.
I was
Yeah.
lucky that my come up was when I was like age 17. Like when I came up with Greedhead, I was the youngest one in the crew. Like I was still going, like I was taking classes and taking tests when they were on tour. And it was good for me because I realized like I had to make a like I had label offers, right? I had two label offers. They were pretty bad. They're like, I would get only like 10% of the profit or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They would cover distribution and marketing, that's it. But there it wouldn't even provide that much marketing. And I was like, I don't even know if I want to do this because like I didn't even feel like my style of music is like I didn't think it was like I didn't feel like I was gonna be able to just make pop music or whatever,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
if I wanted to. And so I was just like, yeah, like these deals aren't even I could just put it out myself and make the same amount of money. I would have a much smaller audience, but I get a much bigger percent. So that's what I did with debut. I just put it out myself. Like that was the album that I was trying to shop,
Mm-hmm.
and then I dropped that and then just retired. But really, what it was is I was in school and I was on like academic probation, and I needed to get my degree. But I got my doctorate, and it's actually, like I feel like I played it out well. But who knows? Could have gone another way. Maybe if I kept making music, it could have gone differently. But
I
I
think
feel
it's
like artists don't really. To me, I care about more about the money. You know what I mean? Like, cause I'm trying to plan for my family and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
So money wise, I feel like I'm fine. Like I don't want to have to
Yeah.
be I don't want to have to be one of these artists now that's forced to make music to fit in this climate and to pay their bills. Like that seems like an L to me.
I think one thing that you're saying though, because like if someone isn't really in tune with anything related to music and they just heard like the last 1 minute, they could be like, "Oh, you're so shallow. You just care about the art, right? You don't care about the art. You care about the money." But I think
Yeah.
actually what you're describing is
No,
a
I think
way
it's
where
yeah,
you can
cause I
actually be
don't come from a
genuine.
place of privilege. I can talk
Yeah.
about it openly. But
Yeah.
most artists, like 80% of them, either they're from a rich family or they're backed by like someone else with a lot of money. 80 to 90% of the time. That's why they. That's
That's of
why
like the
you ever.
bigger artists. Those are like the ones that we like
That's
generic
all of them.
people
That's
hear.
all of them. That's all these indie artists too. Because think about it like this: if making money or like having some type of uh, financial transparency was important to them, then they would be talking about it. But they're not, because the type of stuff they talk about is stuff that only matters to these privileged people. If you think about what artists talk about and what they fight for.
Yeah, I think also my view of things are skewed because I've just been so away from that scene. I've been in like
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. I don't want to get into it because I'm also doing broad generalizations,
yeah, yeah, and that's
and
what I
it's
want to make
different.
clear.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
different for
Yeah.
people getting in the game at different stages. I
Mm-hmm.
was lucky to drop when I dropped. I don't know if I dropped now, there'd be anywhere as near interest for the
Mm-hmm.
type of music I.
And I what thing I was trying to get at before is that um as the fact because you're transparent and because you took the route where you're like, I want to secure my future. I need to make sure like I take care of myself and whatever your family, just doing what you feel is right, which I totally understand. that also in turn actually allows you to be more authentic in your music. And I think that's a thing that people don't get, because they're like, oh, well, you're saying you care about the money. That means you're just going to sell out. It's like, actually, you can make the
what
music
do
you
yeah
want to make, and you can be
yeah
happy with what you created. You can own it, but also it can be the true authentic Big Baby Gandhi shit versus you like signed to a label and like having to spoon feed like mainstream fans that you don't really want to make music for necessarily anyway.
well, I don't think they would like expect one thing or the other. It would just be like I would create some stuff to, reach a broader audience if I got a bigger percentage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was my issue.
Hmm.
Because you don't want to just give away, whatever. Like I make pretty decent money off my music as like a side income. That's how I look at my music now. As now that I'm older,
Hmm.
like I do care about it. I just I just see it as like a third hustle where I can get money when I drop projects. But right now, especially with COVID, I'm like trying to get some of my other life shit together. And I'm just giving myself that time because like I told you, like I want my next project to be like all analog and record it all cassette. So I feel like that could be really cool, like just to do an album like they used to do it back in the day, like the 80s.
Hmm.
Because like I told you, like I listen to all periods. To me, my favorite hip hop is from the 80s.
That's interesting. And so you want to
There's so much
record it?
rap that
You want to
people,
record it analog too? That just to be clear, you want to actually
yeah,
record it.
everything. I'm gonna record everything on cassettes,
Damn,
and
that's
then
some
I'm gonna
legit
get the
shit. Yeah,
cassette
that's cool.
as the original, and I'm gonna make digital copies to stream.
Hmm.
But okay, so the thought process behind it is everything is recorded digitally now, to the point where even the stock sounds or whatever, even if you record some like amazing piano, these engineers they have to clean it up. And my thing is like I don't want to clean anything up. I want to record it as is. I want to play shit. I want to program shit the way it's gonna sound final.
Hmm.
Like a band doing a performance, and not mix any of it. Like everything's digital, so my shit is gonna sound crazy because none of it is mixed and it's all analog. Because it's gonna affect. Okay, so like when you listen to music, you hear like if you listen to music on Spotify, there's a certain setting that all music on Spotify has like a little sound to it. All music on YouTube because of the way the settings are.
Yeah.
So every time you hear shit, it's like I would say that most music now you could hear that it's all been mixed on a certain, like YouTube, like all the same tutorial, the same preset.
Uh-huh.
When you listen to music from the 60s and 70s, they're not mixing like that. You know.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know if you want to get into the details, but it's basically the way you're recording it, you know? It's
No,
gonna
I'm
sound way it's
interested in
gonna always
that.
sound way.
Yeah, and it's a way to stand out too. Add some personality back.
Well, it's also like, everything I actually feel there's a lot of great music right
Totally.
now. I'm not shitting on it. There's just so much of it that it's so hard to find something different or like make your own imprint doing something different
And
because
and I
there's so
and
much stuff out
hearing
there.
hearing you say that too, as someone that obviously is super into music, is a true fan, like a true person who will take the time to look. That's interesting to hear from you too, because I really sympathize with that, because I hear that all the time, but from people that are definitely just casual fans, and they're like, man, there's no good music out, and I can't even fathom it.
Nah,
I'm like,
you
but
just
I'm
gotta look.
so into
Yeah.
it, but that's because I'm so like, it doesn't take me any time to find good music that's like quality, like unique, has so much character, because I'm just already in the spaces. It takes me 5 seconds. I'm like, go to this site, go to this, check this page, check these artists. Like it's just simple. Follow these people, which I already have.
Yeah. I mean,
That's why I
how,
do
how
the
old are
show,
you?
because I like it and I can show people good music, because I know it's so impossible to find, search through like millions of music. Like we never have dropped more music ever than right now. There's
Yeah.
like millions of songs, new songs every day.
Yeah. And like, well, when you're younger, that's when you're gonna just listen to music all day. Like how old are you?
26.
26? Oh, okay, yeah. So like when you're like at that age still, you just listen to music all the time. What the thing that happens, like this happens to all artists, like as you get older, your fan base stops listening to music.
Damn.
Because that's what like people usually listen to the same shit they listen to in like high school their whole lives.
Yeah, everybody
The average
nostalgic.
person, not the music fan. I'm not talking about the music lovers.
Yeah.
That's like a. that 20% that, or like 10% that carries music, but
Mm-hmm.
all the casual listeners.
Yeah.
Bro, back in the day, people didn't like music like the way everybody pretends they like music now.
It's an
People,
interesting thing. Streaming
people like
did do
Spotify, they
that.
don't like
Yeah.
music. You know what I mean?
It's weird how like it's kind of like the way I see it, the way I like the way you said it, because I see that in the same way people talk about Netflix, because they talk about Netflix like it's a type of media, but it's a platform.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
like, oh yeah, it's like Spotify. It's like, I don't know, I'm just talking about the song. Like, go find it. Like, I don't know where it's at. I don't
yeah,
even use Spotify like that. It is weird because people are like, is that on Netflix? All right, cool. I'm not gonna watch it. It's like,
yeah.
okay, there's like millions of very easy ways you
Well,
can watch
the way
this.
they talk about it though is because that's how it feels. That's how it really is.
Yeah,
And
it's
the
a
way it
Netflix
feels is how
experience.
shit really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like with music now, people don't make songs anymore. Now you're making audio experiences. You're creating like the way TikToks are. Like you're making something so that someone can use it for their little short video as the background for their post.
Mm.
So your music is to contextualize someone's post. That's not the same as a song, but that's how you should look at music now. The
Definitely the
same.
more mainstream stuff for sure. Because those are the
I
people
mean,
that are
I
getting
don't know about
tagged.
the other stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know about the other stuff. Like you love underground rap, right? That's your thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Because
how's
that's
that
the
like?
thing.
What's that life about?
That life's about a lot of what you're I think what you would appeal to you and also what
Like
would
I
and
definitely
inspire
listen to
you.
mad shit. I just can't listen to it all the time. I like to mix up genres.
Yeah, like
Like I know about it. I think it's dope, but sometimes you just want to listen to something else because how you feel.
because that's the thing. I'm so like I follow the mainstream general music because I am on the online and I have friends, but like I mostly listen to underground rap or just non-rap. Like that's the thing.
Yeah,
I can't. It's sometimes I need to remember that it's like yeah, I my existence of hip hop isn't the 6 albums that dropped of any note of like the YSL
yeah.
album. It's
That's the
like
worst way to listen to music. The
yeah,
worst
it's
way to
like
listen to music is
people are
like,
like, man,
oh
COVID,
yeah, Drake and Kanye drop. Let's
dude,
listen to both of them tonight. And then yeah,
pandemic hip hop has been absolutely disgustingly atrocious for the mainstream. And it makes sense.
yeah,
Why would they release music when it's a pandemic? Future is going to drop a song where you're inside, isolated.
yeah,
No, you need to
yeah.
be in the club. Like, and I get it. It's like, it's just not the vibe. So, man, there's been nothing good out for mainstream. Like I'm saying, but literally, there's been very few. There's been like a
I mean,
handful.
it's just there hasn't been like a newer wave yet. The beats are kind of the same
Yeah,
because there's usually a new wave every year. So
yeah, 2012 was a nice time. Around that time was just a lot of fresh shit. Kanye was still kind of like peaking. Drake was just coming in. Kendrick was like a new thing.
yeah,
Schoolboy Q, TDE, like there was a lot of fresh things that have, and then even like 2015, the trap stuff, like the prime future, prime Migos, even like mainstream was like it was making waves. Now they're like, I think it'll come. The mainstream is gonna have a rise with like some newer artists. It just hasn't happened yet. I don't think.
I feel like yeah. I mean, I don't want to get too deep in like I don't want to come off critical. I feel like rap is so big now that it just can't keep this amount, just can't keep it up like this. I think there's probably going to be some other thing that takes over, or maybe rap becomes more divided between its subgenres or something.
I have feeling like that's what
I
might
just feel like
happen.
it's pretty stale. Like not in terms of like I'm not trying to criticize the music or the artist. I think it's part of the overall culture, right? I think the overall culture
And
and
that's
our
that's what
consumer
drives it.
tastes are
Yeah.
overall stale, right? And then we all have our like little niche interests, but the big mainstream stuff that brings everyone together, that stuff is kind of in a loop. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's been Marvel movies. Like Marvel movies bring everyone together for like what,
Bro,
like 10 years.
AT&T,
Yeah,
like AT&T, right? I always say it, my least like my it's a not a good sign, and it's a sign to your point of like the generic stale trap music that's like an accepted thing in corporate ads now. Like there's just a
yeah,
random disgusting trap beat at the in this
yeah,
AT&T ad. It's getting to the point where it's getting to the stale aspect. I do
yeah,
think it's thriving, but not necessarily as a like a culture in terms of if they want to keep dominating, like if being like if rap was a person, it needs to
yeah.
make some changes because it's gonna start to fizzle out, which I don't know how much I care about. as long as the
I don't
music
I
and the
don't think
artists
so.
I care about
My
thrives.
opinion is that actually we're, because of the way our government has controlled the media messaging, that we're actually stuck in a loop that will never end. I actually don't think that our current state of back and forth culture war, vapid mainstream materialism, um, evoking the worst stereotypes to generate attention. I actually think it's going to be in that cycle, for the time being until something dramatically changes. It's going to be like that. It's not going to change or get better. That element is so ingrained in the American culture itself, like the
Hmm.
actual people and what they like. And I don't see any of that changing unless the reality of people's lives changing, you know?
And yeah, we can get to that because like when we
Let's
talk
talk
about
about it's applied to movies,
mhm.
politics, music. It's all a broad social engineering. And they
Yeah, and
want us
it's
to feel
something
a certain
that
way in our heads. They want us to feel isolated from community. And they
yeah,
want you to feel like helpless and like, yeah, pretty much,
and so
And
that's what
and
we
of
were
course
talking about with the
to be mad at your fellow man or woman, instead of being trying to gain economic rights.
hmm.
That's the
Yeah, because
essential mode right now.
that situation is something we were talking about with we live in a society before this before we hit record.
Yeah, we live in the
And
matrix.
yeah, and like you were saying particular, which I found interesting, we didn't get into, is that like particular in your role in your job right now as a medical writer in the pharmacy industry within a fucking pandemic, you have a pretty
Yeah,
unique perspective on like seeing the cognitive dissonance, seeing the discourse and how dangerous or lack of
yeah.
like
Well, yeah.
intellectualism there actually is. And you were saying that particularly that you weren't, it makes you not hopeful. So could you
Oh,
expand
I
on
have
like,
zero hope. Yeah.
yeah, so why do you say that?
What I was saying is, as a medical writer, I wrote a series of vaccine papers for Pfizer a few years ago. I know a lot about it, and then when COVID happened, I saw how it just became a tool for the culture wars, and there's a lot of failure on the medical community to be transparent about it to make people feel safe. Um, People are attacking Joe Rogan. Meanwhile, he's actually been the most honest broker. He's actually been the most transparent about this stuff, which is sad.
How
I
was
don't
that?
know
How is
if,
that the case? I'm curious about that.
because he's actually had like people on from the medical community who tried to, correct some of the stuff that the CDC has been saying,
Hmm.
and so he gave them platforms to do that. You'll see that a lot of stuff that, I really don't want to get into this, but you see a lot of the stuff that the CDC said that Rogan would talk about. They would say like, no, he's lying in this, and then 6 months later, this
That has happened a couple
the
times for
CDC has
sure.
said like,
Yeah, yeah,
actually
I'm
he was
aware of
wrong.
that. I'm
The
not a fan
Fauci
of
with the
Rogan and what he's done, but it's not like it's all negative in terms of how he's treated that topic. But yeah, we don't need to get into that too much.
well, he's just not part of. I'm not saying he's a genius. I'm just saying that simply not being an arm of the state propaganda makes you more honest than the state propaganda itself.
That's
It's not
that's
saying
fair.
that's not
That's
saying
fair.
much, but it's just
Yeah, it's not
just a
saying much, but
truth.
it's saying something,
Yeah,
speaks to the
and
state of
so it's
affairs.
up to you how much of the government lies you want to eat up. It's not like I don't care. Your diet of lies is up to you. Whatever fake thing you want to believe, that's on you. I'm not gonna get people to change,
Hmm.
you know. I don't even want to make it about vaccines because we see this happen in all other areas, like the economy with the inflation. I don't know if you're following that.
Yeah.
They said last year they said there's gonna be no inflation. Then there's like, oh, there's 3% inflation. Oh no. Now it's 7%. In reality, if you were to maybe accept that the government lies sometimes, we can accept that that means the real inflation rate is probably around 15%. And they'll tell us that next year. If you were, you know, just saying, if you don't just believe everything the government tells you.
Do you find there's like, so I guess you're pretty confident that there's ways that they believe, they being just generally the state, that they can get away with, because they are public in some ways. Some of this data
The
is
stuff I'm talking
available.
about is public knowledge. I'm not trying to bring in conspiracy.
No, I know that.
Um,
I know that.
so, for example, we have recorded video recording of Nixon's chief of staff saying that they created the war on drugs as a
I've
way to
definitely heard that.
target black
Yeah.
people and
Yeah,
put
that
them
went
in
out
jail,
recently.
as well as homosexuals. Yeah. They said, how can we wage war on them so that they don't vote against us in the next election? And so they said, let's do the war on drugs. Now, we all know about this and we try to talk about this, convince people with statistics to try to not sound crazy, but it's open knowledge.
Mm-hmm. I find that tough, like to try to balance your understanding of history, understanding shit like this that the government and just other powerful people have done and powerful institutions have done, while also not just thinking blanket, therefore everything. Because I think that's the thing that people do a lot. If they do have some
Yeah.
knowledge, they kind of go to the opposite. Okay, then everything's a lie. Then everything is not true, which is
Yeah.
like you kind of have to take everything very
Yeah.
case by case basis, which is not the fun thing. To
Yeah.
actually like look at every individual
Well,
situation, evaluate it.
a really good way to manage that is to just look at what they do in other countries as examples. So sometimes it's like, people think America is like the worst place in the world. It's not. We're the most democratic country in the world. Sorry, it's true.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
true.
think about how many countries where not only does your vote not matter, like they'll just fill it in for you, they'll vote for you, or they'll behead you if you're part of a political party. That's like most countries. That's just how it is. America rigs elections in other countries so easily, right? That their vote doesn't matter. It's harder for them to rig elections here. They
That
do it
that's
easily
definitely
in other
true.
Countries.
That's fucking true. That's super true.
I'm just speaking, I'm
Yeah.
just saying,
Yeah, that's
like
super true.
so we can look at certain things and know how things are better. Let's say things like infrastructure, like we have like, public roads and stuff like that. Maybe we're in the top 10, top 15. It's not the worst, there's definitely places with no infrastructure, no roads, no clean water. We don't have it in some places in the US don't have it. So that's why I'm saying it's not in the top 10, but we're in like the top 12. You know what I'm trying to say? There's like
Yeah, we're still in the
reasonable,
develop. We're still, I mean, like I'm not from the States, but I get
there's
the
different
point.
things
Yeah.
like prison population. We're actually number one. We have the most people in prison.
Oh, okay. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, yeah, definitely. I was like, that's
Yeah,
not a
that's
positive
that's
thing.
like
Yeah.
that's an area where actually we have less freedoms than in other places. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's worth like a freedom worth fighting. You know, we
Mm.
have There's the only place in the country with free speech in the world with free speech. Even in UK, in England you get a citation for using free speech. You got to pay taxes to watch cable TV or something. You know, I'm just saying, bro. There's different ways to compare the U.S. It's not the worst place, not the best. If you wanna,
Well, that's the thing. It's case by
you could
case.
you
Yeah,
could just be like, there's people because some people are immigrants, so they're okay with certain things. But other people who may not be immigrants, maybe they feel like they should have a say in how America, is how they make their laws and shit. So go ahead and do that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially even minorities should just be like, oh yeah, this is our country. It was capitalist in the past, but it doesn't have to be now. We can have more
Exactly.
social services. We give people money. Simple.
Mm-hmm.
You have the right and privilege to do that if you so choose. But what happens is the state makes us argue about these culture war things and not focus over money to address our financial insecurity.
That I 100% agree with. It's very
Whenever they
convenient. It
have
works in their
minorities
power.
from the Democratic Party talking about racism, they never talk about uh, the fact that money will solve many of these issues because they don't want to. They want to focus on some minor celebrity who got insulted or something like that. That's why it's by design. It's not that, oh, the Democrats are stupid. They're not stupid. It's by design because their donor base is those like uptight white liberals. Oh, I would have voted Obama a third time.
Yeah.
So when they see some minor microaggression, that's enough for them to donate money. And now they don't have to address any of the economic issues.
Yeah,
So
because
it's
they
by
wiped their
design.
hands clean. They did their job.
Yeah.
They're supporting
Yeah.
anti-racism in their
We got the
minds.
orange man out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Orange man bad. Yeah.
Me personally, I just don't like how they use minorities to, like, they speak on their behalf as if a few minorities or politicians represent what actual minorities think or feel, even a majority of them, because obviously, you're not a mono.
And
No
the bad thing about that too is that because they're speaking as if they're speaking on behalf of all of us, it's also leads to the thing where since they're focusing on all the dumbest shit ever, it makes us look
It makes us
stupid.
look bad. It's
Like,
like
oh,
we only care about
you
stupid
guys,
shit.
yeah, you only care about petty, random. It's like, I mean, even in those a lot of things which is really insidious, and this is the thing I really don't like, is that it's not like necessarily some of the culture war stuff isn't like valid in the sense like, yeah, you
Yeah,
shouldn't do that. Don't say that. That's kind of mean. That's just unnecessary. Let's try to not do that. But they make that the number one
yeah.
priority. It's like
They frame the conversation.
it's definitely not the number one priority. This thing that someone said to someone versus let's actually have like more equality in terms of how we distribute funds, taxation, all that shit, because that actually matters to their
Yeah,
wallets and their own. That's where it stops.
they think that minorities are so stupid that we don't care about money. That's why. That's how sad. Well, okay. This is the other thing. Let's say you're a minority who's always had to vote Democrat because Republicans are so racist, right? That's
Mhm.
true. Republicans
Mhm.
are worse than Democrats and racist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we agree. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you decide that I'm no longer voting Democrat, does that mean that you're handing a win over to the Republicans? My thing is no. This is why. Because your only power is as a swing voter. So the Republicans are not claiming to speak on your behalf, but the Democrats are. So by a party claiming to speak on your behalf, they actually owe you material benefits. So if they don't provide any material benefits to you, you're actually a sucker to continue to vote for them. I'm not saying vote Republican. You can vote third party. You could write in Kanye West. You could write in, like someone you actually like. Let's say you're some, super radical. You could write in Tupac. Okay? As long as you're voting and not for the Democrats, you're withholding your vote. And now you've created an incentive for them to provide you material benefits. One that they currently do not have if you continue to vote for them.
Yeah, it's a really big like catch 22 because I think a lot of people do have that thought process, but then they kind of, and I think it's super fair and valid, and I don't have the answer to how to solve it and how to message it, but it's like, well then yeah, but then the Republicans actually may win and they'll do slightly worse. And it's like, and for some people that slightly worse matters. That's life and death, or at least like
Yeah,
sort
and
of.
that's
It's
the
not, even
false
though the
framing.
Democrats are barely doing anything better. So it's just really shitty. It's
It's the
like,
false framing. Well,
yeah.
also the other part is the only time they will get something passed is when both parties agree. And that's when they pass the worst shit, the craziest shit. Because when both parties agree, that's the most that's like the drone war, that's like the $1 trillion military budget, all the stuff that
Mhm.
let's say you're, a progressive person, all the stuff you don't want, you are actually helping keep propped up.
Yeah.
So,
And
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 as a
you
minority, if you're a minority, think about it, bro. Why are you letting them speak on your behalf? The reason they focus so much on swing voters in the Midwest is they call them Obama Trump voters, bro, because they switch back and forth between the party.
mm,
So as a voter, you only really have, okay, so basically your vote doesn't matter, right? Because mathematically you're 1 out of 300 million. Your vote doesn't matter. The ones who might matter are the ones who always swing their vote, who change
yeah,
their vote. So you should become a swing voter so that your vote matters if
that's
you want to vote
interesting.
correctly. Okay, especially if you're a minority. And I'm not saying you have to vote Republican. You can literally write in whoever you want. That's where your power lies. But
That's
I'm
actually
only saying that
interesting.
now because in 2024, the Democrats are going to lose so badly
Oh my God.
that
It's gonna be so bad.
they're going to shame people that they're racist and they're sexist and anti and homophobic. They're going to smear that so heavy because one, that's all they have, and two, they're not allowed to talk about economic issues because they have the same economic platform as the Republicans.
Yeah, it's like a
So you'll
slightly
see that they're going to
whitewashed
push that
version.
very
Yeah.
hard
Yeah,
in those
totally.
coming years. That's why I'm telling people now before it happens.
I like that. And one thing I want to get to, because we're talking on the topic of minorities, like one of the things, as I mentioned in the preamble here to start the interview, is about like representation in music. And I find the idea of representation is kind of related to what we're talking about here too, because I find it's very often very insidiously used, very much like what you're saying, where it's like literally drone strikes and all that. It's like I've seen memes, but this is literally true because I've seen this like about bombs that are now green friendly bombs. And it's like
Yeah,
a positive, or it's like, oh, we have trans drone strike operators to kill murder innocent brown kids in the Middle East. Like that's how it is. But that being said, I do think there is value in that. And I saw that firsthand with you and like the Das Racist folks, Heems, when I first heard you on Bangles on that Nehru Jackets mixtape back in like 2013 when I first heard it. That shit like genuinely made me feel something because at that point I'd
yeah,
literally never had any South Asian hip hop person that I ever heard, and was like, not only were you dope, not only was the music great, but it's also that you weren't the stereotypical brown guy in the media, which is sexually repressed, socially awkward, a fucking weirdo that's like a gross
yeah,
person, and it's just a punchline in Big Bang Theory. Like the entire vibe was hip hop, but you also did bring like the Bangladeshi culture along for the ride. Like all of that was in the music, so it was still authentic. And so I just want to say genuinely, like I appreciate that. I think there's value in it. And I want you to expand on a couple thoughts that we briefly shared back and forth offline. One thing you said was that you found new brown rappers make the mistake that they can only be accepted through the lens of blackness instead of just being themselves. So could you like speak
yeah.
to that more?
Yeah, I feel like it's part of being a person too. So my music, what I really like, okay, so the way I really fell in love with hip hop was because I started listening to a lot of like conscious rap. Like that's to me is still my favorite. That's
Mm-hmm.
like Tribe, De La Soul, also like Poor Righteous Teachers, X Clan, um, Jungle Brothers.
Nice.
Um, there's really so many, Binary Star. Like there's just so many, right? And to me, it's because I actually grew up really poor, and I was listening to this music that was like, or even like go like Wu Tang. Actually, Wu Tang is amazing at this. Like Ghostface rapping about, like we slept four to a bed, and then we didn't like to sleep with John John. He peed the bed.
Yeah.
That's like how I grew up. My family, four of us had to live in one room in a 2 bedroom apartment
Damn.
for like the first 5 years when we, because we're immigrants, whatever. And I'm like, oh yeah, like and I was like 13. I'm still poor, so I'm like, being poor isn't bad. Actually, if I talk to other poor people about it, we're actually proud that we made it through. So to me, hip hop actually had a value outside of just music. It was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh yeah, I'm struggling now, but there's gonna be a way out, or like not even a way out, just like it's okay that I'm struggling because it's part of life, right?
And I think
And that really carried over. Yeah.
one
So
thing
that's
to
why I
just
love
jump
hip
in
hop.
there, I want to say, like, because I really like how you said that. One thing also, like with the Wu Tang, not only that, but you could live a dignified life. You could be cool. You could still
Oh, of
have like
course. Yeah, yeah.
like be like a person that's
You could be a
confident.
common man and it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's actually fresh. Like, oh damn, like these guys are fucking like fly as
Yeah.
hell, but
It's that
they're
they
still
gave you
poor.
something. Yeah. So they gave
Yeah.
you something. That's what I was always trying to do with my music. So it was like I don't know how to do it, but like depending on the time, like I always want my music to reflect the time and be like, even if you're like not, even if you're flawed, you have all these things that's technically whack, you could still be dope because your style is dope. That's how I always looked at it. That's how I looked at. So I learned a lot of this through hip hop, growing up, like as just listening to it. But at the same time, it's like I believe that in life. Like, yeah, like you may not be like the tallest, you may not be the light skinned dude, you may not be the prettiest, smartest, but you can find your thing and just do as long as you do something in your own style. That's to me how I look at hip hop. As long as you do something in your own unique, dope style, you'll be good. Even if it's doing something common, I don't know, like I used to be a busboy at an Indian restaurant, but I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be the flyest busboy, and I was like, I went around making jokes and cleaning people's stuff and like making jokes and they would give me more tips and stuff like that. Like you
Mm-hmm.
find your own style of doing something. That's what hip hop was. So that's how I looked at my music, but also just life is like, yeah, like it's gonna be hard, even if you look at being a brown person, like it's gonna be hard for me to fit in and disprove other people's experiences with other South Asians.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're gonna meet certain people and have a certain way. But what I can do is I can always do things my way. Like, so when I look at stuff, I'm not looking at it like, am I gonna be black or am I gonna be white? I'm like, oh no, what's Nafis, what's Nafi, what's Big Baby Gandhi? And it's always been like that for me. So I've never had any issues with like being accepted in rap or hip hop because I was always just trying to do something that I thought was dope for me, like what I thought was dope. So I never had the issue of like, I don't even remember the question, but it's like, you don't have to try to fit in because like fit into what, you know, especially if you're
Yeah.
brown, there's no path for you. There's no model there's no like person who came before you can copy. So you have no choice but to be original. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
Like
I like
whose
that.
style do you want to steal? Like, you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
And that's like super, you're right. It's so applicable to life because like even if you are thinking like even if you are have issues with validation and you want to get that from other people, it's like if you're not authentic, people smell that and they won't gravitate to you. And so it's like maybe you won't gravitate, everybody won't gravitate to you because not everybody's for everybody,
Well,
but
yeah, and then
that'll
there's the
be a real
there's
thing. That'll be a real connection. And that for hip hop as a like a creator, you get real fans, but as a person, you get real people that fuck with you just as like a person.
it's also from like artistic perspective, like, you know, why do you like I don't even understand like these newer people why they make music. Some of them aren't really music fans. They're using music as a vehicle to get you know,
Fame,
followers or
money,
like
yeah.
to get I don't want it's not a bad thing because it's cool. It's good to make friends, have a social network. I don't think it's bad. But you know, it's like there's there's a, there's different reasons people do things, so you don't really know. And a lot of people use music as a stepping stone to, you know, like legit careers in other areas. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and music is mostly about marketing. So it's about your look and your brand. So, but you know, if you were trying to be an artist, then you wouldn't even want to bite other style. You would want to just be like, oh, I'm gonna come up with some cool shit of my own. You know,
Yeah, yeah. And
it really depends. You know, like I feel like the newer just musicians in general, like there's some really dope like original art, and then there's a lot of people. Maybe it's just because there's so much music. There's a lot of people just trying to fit in.
oh, totally, totally.
But I'm not saying there's not good shit. I'm just saying
No, yeah, yeah, I know. I think you made your
there's a
point.
lot of
Like
cookie cutter music. You know.
1000%, 1000%. And another thing I like that you said I thought was pretty interesting is that, and this is something that I can't even, I was surprised to hear because obviously I was at the age where I was listening to music, but I was not nearly as in tune as when you were really kind of blowing up there. You said that back then, so like back in let's just say 2011, 2013 timeframe, you never thought that the scene at that point in 2011 would be more open to brown rappers than they actually are now. And I didn't even
Yeah.
expect to hear that. But so why do you think that's the case?
Um, I think there's like a couple. Well, like it's like okay, one is like I don't feel like people go out as much as they used to. So when we used to do shows, it's because there were a lot of parties going on. Like there would like be 3, 4 parties. Maybe it's also like I'm getting older, but like with COVID, there's definitely way less
Mm-hmm.
parties. And the way people used to hang out back then, like 10 years ago, was all the different scenes. Like let's say you like rock, let's say you like goth, let's say you like rap. They would all go to each other's parties. So we would all be at each other's things just because we're all the same age, you know? So you'd have all these parties with people from different scenes going to different stuff. So when we had shows in Brooklyn and like Williamsburg, we would have the rock people there because you know it's the same venues too. So you'd have like rock or pop, like not pop, but like you used to have people who only liked like folk music in
Mm-hmm.
Bushwick and back then. So like all these people would be going to each other's shows, and like they would like collaborate, and like there was like a mixture of people from all backgrounds and stuff. But now, like when you try to go to stuff now, everything feels like its own niche. Like you go to a you go to like a rave, everybody's a rave person. You go to like because I try to go out and see what's hot, and it's like, oh, it's really kind of not like that anymore. I
Mm-hmm.
just think people party differently now. Also, maybe it's like there's some cool shit I'm just not invited to, so that's why I feel like that. But you know what I mean? Like in general, it didn't you used to just be able to walk into a bar and just be some shit going down.
And so do you think that it's because of that reason that like someone who is like an authentically brown rapper is like it's harder for them to like just kind of
I think
naturally be
what brown
open,
people,
get
yeah, I
open
think what
ears
brown
to?
people who are looking for like representation or acceptance or whatever that is need to accept that that's only going to happen in an environment that's multicultural, right? So you can't really just be around only brown people and get that type of feeling of acceptance. At the same time, you can't just be the one brown person and it's all white people. You know, you're never going to get that feeling of acceptance. So really, and also if you think about it, we're only like 2 or 3% of the population. You know, it's unrealistic for us to party with only people of our race.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
exactly.
So ideally for us is we want like a multi, like you want a setting that has all sorts of people from different backgrounds. And that's the best way for brown people to be able to get that feeling of acceptance and community. You know,
It's funny,
instead
yeah,
of
that
coming from a place of like, oh, they think this of me, you know, like, you know what I mean? Like instead of coming from a negative place where you feel like people are judging you, you just need to accept that you'll only be accepted in multicultural environments because you are of a different background.
yeah,
And that kind of means taking the responsibility for fostering that. You know,
yeah,
like
to
you got
reaching
to be
out,
more,
being
yeah,
uncomfortable
you got to be
spaces, yeah.
more comfortable with people of other backgrounds if you want people to accept you for being of a different background.
That's a big reason why like when I think about like my just personal life next steps for me, like one thing, because you say like the 2 to 3%. In Toronto it's literally like 14%
Oh,
Asian.
okay, nice,
It's the
nice.
most insane, like nothing like it other than like maybe Surrey in the Vancouver area. And that's a
Yeah, I
big
guess,
reason
yeah.
because Ottawa is very similar. It's like 3-4%. And it's like either you're the one brown person or you're all brown. And
Hmm.
it's like,
Yeah, that's not gonna help you.
yeah,
Well, I guess I'm lucky. I grew up in New York, so I'm in Queens, so that's every single race. I know someone from every country,
that's really
so it's
cool.
like you always had to be able to get along with different people. And the other thing is like once you're really friends with people of different backgrounds, it's like you could be way more honest. So you develop like a thick skin. So I don't get phased if someone judges me for my background. I know all the jokes and I can crack them back. So I never felt not accepted or like I didn't belong. So I never projected that,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah, I
it's
feel that.
just facts. And
So
also, you know, like I love rap so much that I was like, oh, I'm just going to be a dope person and my music's always going to be good. So that's how
yeah,
I look at it.
I wanted to ask you about like how did you first stumble upon Big Baby Gandhi as a name? That's obviously a big important fact.
Um, I had like a lot of corny rap names. I was trying to be like an intelligent rapper. And then I just came up with it when I was sending out demo tapes. Um, so the real reason is like it's after ODB, who was my favorite rapper back then.
Mm-hmm.
Big so his nickname was Big Baby Jesus,
Oh
and I
yeah.
wanted to do Gandhi because I'm brown, and also like Gandhi is that's how other kids made fun of brown kids growing up. So in
Mm-hmm.
New York back then, the way they called Indian kids was Gandhi. They'd be like they would do Gandhi Mandi Mandi. That was how they made fun of you. But I didn't think it was like a bad thing. It was like, haha, that's Gandhi, Gandhi, like, you know, just taking it back. But then, you know, I feel like it's also not great because a lot of people got fake woke about Gandhi. So there's that aspect of it too. Um, it's like a fat Indian guy who thinks he's black, Big Baby Gandhi. So I think that's pretty funny. And I think that's gonna be a funny trope throughout. Like as we get, because this is the thing, I'm the first like Bengali American rapper like ever. So there's way more Bengalis now than there was just because of how many kids we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's Bengalis gonna be a part of American culture in like you know the next couple of decades. But Big Baby Gandhi was like forever.
Yeah.
You think there's not gonna be another in Bengali person who looks like me who tries to rap in the next 20, 30 years? They're gonna make a movie about it. They're gonna have to use my name. You know what I'm saying? Like I have
Yeah.
such a lane, you know, Big Baby Gandhi. It's just not it's fun to say, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if we got it, but I was talking to my friend about it and I said as long as there's no other brown rapper with a funnier name than mine, I'm always gonna have this lane, you know. Not you know, there's dope brown rappers out there. I'm not saying I'm just saying my name just sticks.
No, it sticks. Anytime I
that's-
mention it, it's like I know I'm gonna get a reaction out. Someone's like, "Oh, I'm talking to Big Baby Gandhi." They're like, "Oh, who's that? Wow,
yeah.
that's interesting. I'm fucking intrigued." Like,
I was the first Big Baby too.
oh yeah,
Just saying. Well, you know, after ODB.
yeah.
Well, like there's other Big Babies
There's a
from
lot
the
of babies
SoundCloud
now
era.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the most common name now these days, I feel. Yeah, like one thing I want to get into is like as you talk about like sending your demos out and all that shit, like once you got to the point where you're ready to release a full-length project, you dropped a Big Fucking Baby, I think it was 2011. And like we talked about, was very well received critically by listeners, created a solid buzz for you. Like, how did it feel getting that project out to the world? And were you surprised by the reception that you got?
Yeah, I was pretty surprised because I made the whole thing in my closet. Like, I didn't think that anyone was really gonna listen to it. It was definitely like viral before viral, you know? And the thing was, all I had at the time was an album cover and no pictures of me. So nobody knew what I looked like at that time. And there was only like one Tumblr picture of me, like mad blurry with my eyes uh like like whited out, you know? So no one really knew what I looked like. So that was like a dope couple months. And then I had the next tape ready and like I was, you know, I was like 18, 19 then. So it was like the best time for me to rap. Well, no, I was like 2021, yeah.
Hmm.
But a lot of the songs on Big Fucking Baby I've been making, you know, like while I was in college. It's actually like when I was in college, I quit rap because I was like, nobody, there's no good rap now. And then I started like a punk band, and I tried making a bunch of like stuff like that. And then I was making a bunch of like when Justice and Crystal Castles was popping, I was trying to make a bunch of like
Damn.
discotheque tech music. And that's
Wow.
how I linked up with like that's how I found out about Das Racist music was because I was really into like Passion Pit and all that stuff. And
Interesting.
so then when I sent what happened was I sent Dap a bunch of beats. That's how I got linked to them. And it was because I thought he would fuck with like I would send him like disco beats, like Crystal Castles beats. I wasn't sending him like, you know, boom bap or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I think like that's what's so dope about that Greedhead movement was, you know, even now there's like this false binary where it's like you either gotta do like either like woke or hard boom bap or like fun turn up ignorant trap. It's like this false binary. But like back then, like we were doing like dance music that was fun and like not serious. And that's like that was just super valuable. Like you know, nobody really replaced that lane yet. Like, you know, like that's why I love Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul. To me, like they were doing the same thing, like fun, upbeat dance rap that wasn't too serious, you know.
And I think there still was value in the lyricism. Like you guys either were really
Oh, for
funny,
sure.
you would make social commentary, but like again, it's not in a way where it's like
Yeah, all the
overbearing
shit
to
we
where
were
you have
doing
to be
then, it just
serious.
became so common after that. Like the
Yeah.
way we all dressed, everybody dressed as like the normal person dressed like that, like 3-4 years later.
Being
And
a normal
then
person
all
was revolutionary. Just generally,
yeah,
being a normal person and that's your like your
yeah,
brand is just normal. It's like, oh, okay,
yeah. And
interesting.
then
Didn't know that was possible.
all the political stuff, people weren't woke like that back then. You know, when we were talking about that political stuff, nobody even did that. So, but whatever. It's like we created a model not just for rap, but for people's online personalities. You know what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of people's posting style comes from us.
That's interesting.
I'm just saying. And to me, like that's what's hard about rap now is because rap, when I was coming up, was about a certain type of like bars. But now the best bars are like the one-liners on Twitter. Like you're telling me a shrimp fried this rice is like a bar. It's like if you think about the way people interpret bars,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like
That's so
ew,
true.
she fucking the weed man for weed, the bitch that's fucking the text man for text. That's like a bar from 2012.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
So that's why, like, if you're a rapper now, that's why the people rap a certain way now. That's why if you're making like melodic trap songs, it doesn't matter what you're not focusing on the lyrics. You're trying to sound good. And then
Mm-hmm.
if you're doing like more underground rappy rap, you can't just say like the one-liners anymore because that's really what posting is for. Now you're just doing like, you know, like, oh, check out my flow over no drums and like, you know, I'm gonna get smart on you. I'm gonna get real insightful on you, you know. But that
Mm-hmm.
whole lane of like just being like like clever and not too serious, that's posting. That's what posting is. If you think
That's
about it.
interesting. Yeah, like shit posting is
So it
a
changes the
common
style
thing.
of the rap.
Yeah,
That's where the hardest bars are now, is the post.
that's an interesting thought. And when you're talking about how you, because you briefly just touched on that, talking about how you connected with Das Racist, like just generally, like how important was that relationship, or is that relationship with Das Racist, Heems, and all of that crew? Like how influential was that to your life and your career?
I mean, I don't think people would have found out about me if it wasn't for them. But, like there were also like a lot of other artists in that camp. And, we all had our own separate careers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, my thing is like, well, what about trying to like what's going on with New York rap now? And it's like, I want to be part of some underground New York rap scene now. I just don't know what it is. And I don't know if I'm part of it. And maybe that's just because I'm working full time, but like, I don't know. And it's like, it's mad work to foster that community and to do that. But like, I know they're doing it in New Jersey. You know what I mean? Like Fat Boy Sharif,
Yeah, I
and
fuck with him so
89th,
hard.
the Brainchild. Yeah, like exactly.
Oh, you fuck
That's
with
like a
him?
legit scene. Yeah, yeah.
I love that guy. Yeah,
Yeah. They
89.
got like a legit scene there. Though. That's what I'm saying. Like you could go to a show there and watch them
Yo, if
and
you're
watch all their
interested in
affiliated
like,
artists together.
obviously I'm a foreigner, so I'm not trying to speak for people here, but I just the people that you mentioned, like Fatboy Sharif, like the crew we mentioned, PTP, like I could put you into contact with some of those guys because there's some really good creative as
Yeah.
fuck New York hip hop coming out that's like really
Yeah, I
rejuvenating, really
mean, I'm
wholesome.
I'm tied with Fat Boy, but I'm just saying, like,
Yeah,
it's because they're good.
yeah, yeah. He's fucking ill. Um. So one other
Yeah,
thing I want.
low key, I'm trying to work on an EP with Fat Boy. It's just taking some time because I'm like making my
Holy
beats on
shit,
tape. Yeah,
that's a great combo. That is a
yeah,
fucking great combo. That just
yeah. I
makes
mean,
so much sense.
I'm trying to get all the songs done before I just say when it is. But we've been working on it.
Mm-hmm.
We have like 2 or 3 songs.
So, one thing I wanted to talk about before we started like talking and chatting for real, I think we've kind of talked about it a bit. Is just like that time when you decided to take a break. I think you've been pretty clear about what your reasoning was. You just really wanted to focus on securing your future, entering
Well,
the.
isn't that like for everyone? Like, I'm not trying to like, don't other people have to work? And
Oh yeah,
the
yeah,
artists, the
yeah.
artists that don't have to work, probably someone pays their bills. So whatever, that's not me.
Mm-hmm.
I pay my parents' bills, different life.
That's a fucking blessing. That's a and that's something you
Well,
worked for.
it's like
You
I'm
made a
Bengali,
decision
bro.
for.
Like I'm only put on this earth to be a laborer. I'm not like other people where I feel like I was entitled to like a dream job or like I had to, you know what I mean? Like I never felt like the only fate for me was to work hard my whole life
Hmm.
and help people by providing for them because I'm Bengali. That's my goal in life.
Mm-hmm.
So, I could do whatever ill shit I want my way, but I have to do that. You know what I mean? Like I could be a provider whatever way I want, but I have to
Mm-hmm.
provide.
And that resonates with me for sure. And
And I feel like it's like that for everyone too. It's just like
it
you're
is.
not allowed to just say it open,
It is because people take it a certain way. Again, they'll say shit like sell out or oh you're not really in the don't even appreciate music. Then
Yeah,
it's like
yeah, that's
go
crazy.
fuck off. Like honestly,
If anything, the fact that I wouldn't, put my music at the behest of whether or not it can support me financially makes my music more authentic.
that's literally what I was trying to say before. It's like it actually
Yeah.
allows you to do what you really want. You
Yeah,
don't have to
that's
cater to make
when I was
money.
really young. That I was watching MTV too, and there was this Alchemist commercial. Like like he would have these little segues between commercials.
Like the producer of The Alchemist.
Yeah, the producer, the Alchemist.
Oh, okay,
This is
I'm
like
too young for that. I didn't know. Yeah.
yeah, and then he had this thing, and he was just playing the piano, and he was like, "If you ever wanna really make that real hip hop, don't make it your day job." He said it. Then
Yeah.
everyone was like, "Yeah, probably couldn't." Yo, I never thought I would have a rap career. I just made music for fun, and I just put it out online, and when it just went viral, like people just wanted to review it, and they're like, "Yo, this guy's Indian, but He's not. Oh wow.
He's not.
I feel like I have a way different view of looking at a lot of this race stuff than other people. So I don't know the lens with which we're allowed to talk about it. I feel like ultimately we're all the same, but if you want to start dividing people and talking about race, we can do that too.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously like a lot of these things. It's really challenging because
Like I relate way more to like a white person who had to struggle than I relate to, some minority complaining about their college experience or whatever. The same. I
yeah,
don't have enemies
yeah,
based on race. It's more by your background, your
mm,
mentality. The
yeah,
same.
yeah. I feel that. I feel that. And
You ever talk to other brown people? They feel like they gotta be your friend or whatever. It's like, well, really, it's about how you look at the world. You know,
yeah, it's not the skin
Obviously,
tone.
I'll give you more grace if you're from the same background as me, of course. But ultimately, just because you have the same background as me doesn't mean we're on the same team.
Yeah, I find all it does is grace is the way I would take it too. It's like just like I find it's more likely that we have a commonality that we could likely similar values where we could maybe connect more likely, but it's all likelihood and probability. It's not like, okay, yes,
Yeah,
you're brown, we're friends, or you're brown, I'm attracted to you. It's like, no, it's like just more likely, but doesn't
yeah,
mean that. Like there's a bunch of great, obviously great other non-brown people in the world. So yeah, like one thing I want to get to quickly because I find it really interesting that you mentioned it, and I actually don't even know the details, so I'm curious how this is going to go. But I heard you have some NFT drops. That's what you had
yeah,
told me before. Could you give us some backgrounds on like what those NFTs are, why you thought that
yeah.
was
It's
the right release method for you for whatever this is?
um. So I've always had some music I was working on with Yuri Beats while I've been in New York, and then we were just talking about it. We're both, we follow the crypto space, so we're like, it's a hot time in the NFT market. So we just wanted to, have like our music available on another platform. So it's just another area with its own entirely different market, own entirely different audience. And the compensation for artists in the NFT space is way better. So we sold a couple NFTs already. And it's just a part of that game. Like it depends if you're new or not to the NFT space and your background on it. It's not like, oh, NFTs are the future and gonna save everything or whatever. It's just another market where you could put your music and get heard. And you're compensated way better than Spotify. Spotify, you're paying them, you're basically their employee.
Yeah, you're just
Whereas with
bringing market share to them.
NFTs is like at least you get compensated for the music you put out. And that's that's like part of it. It's
Mm-hmm.
like having our music available there because we want to be part of that space that we feel is growing, and we want to reach that audience too, especially like over the next couple of years, like as more musicians enter that space, we want to be part of that environment as well. You yeah, it's like it depends on if it's like an early adopter position. If people are aware of it or not, it's going to be really tight in a couple of years. And I can guarantee that in the next 5 years, you're going to have some like major artists break out of the NFT space. And the reasoning is because there's so much money there that it'll allow artists the time to actually work on their music, which they don't have now.
That's really interesting. It's a tough topic to even kind of wrap your head around. I'm
Yeah, it
definitely
depends. Like if
not
you
the
want to have
person.
the culture war debate, we could talk about that too.
Yeah.
We could
Yeah,
talk
no,
about
but it's
what it
just
means for the artist, what it means,
that's
what
what
it
I
means to
care
have
about.
digital ownership.
That's the
These are
thing,
all,
like
yeah,
that's the thing I care about more. It's I understand it at a baseline what an NFT is. It's more just like I care about what does this mean for artistry because that's the always been the application of NFTs where I think is really interesting. And I am curious to see if you're right that that'll be like the trajectory
yeah. I mean,
is
like,
high.
yeah, it's like Web3, and they're already starting to regulate the internet now. So it's like it's only a matter of time before people have to flock to decentralized internet. If they don't want to be part of the censored internet. So there's going to be a bifurcation of the internet into like the Wild West cowboy one and the one that's regulated by the state. And you're probably going to bounce back and forth between those two. That's probably going to happen soon. So, you know, it's just like I follow a lot of futurist stuff and tech stuff. It's really just based on how you think about the future, whether it's something that you'd rather not think about for peace of mind, or something like you're actually
Mm-hmm.
interested, you want to get ahead of it. You know, it's really, however, the thing with my thing I don't like about NFTs is there are some times where clearly you could tell that people just don't want to learn about it, so they just call it a fad, or you know, a scam, so they don't have to think about it. It's like, well, you know, it's like everything. It's not just so black and white.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Um, well, honestly, man, this has been just like a super great conversation. This is like didn't even expect it to go in some of these directions, but I think it was just super
Yeah,
insightful. I
bro,
really
that's
like the
the Big Baby
perspective you bring.
Gandhi. That's like how I do my music, right? It's like, okay, you already know what the template is. Now you could do dope shit with it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I heard, because just to be clear to anybody listening, I did not ask, you volunteered. You wanted to do a freestyle. Is
Oh
that
man, you
something
should.
that?
I was trying to help you out. You should make it part of your thing, and then you always have a clip, right? Because you know some of these radio stations, their biggest
Yeah,
videos are
yeah,
their freestyles.
yeah, yeah. That is true. I never. It's funny. I never actually even thought about doing that. Wait, as soon as you said it, it's like, oh yeah, it's the classic thing at the end of the interview. They do a
Yeah, and
freestyle
it's
like the
you know, I'm
radio
just trying to put
station.
you on game, bro. Yeah, yeah, Gandhi. Yeah. Let's go, let's go. Yo, Big Baby, Brown Slim Shady, plus I spit crazy ever since 680. 86 minus 4, that's like 92. I got a 90s crew, we do that 90s move like poison. BBG spell the initials, just like the criminals, just like the antibiotics that you see with me. First generation cephalosporin, see with me. You got HIV because you used the wrong HIP. Now I got 30 in my AIDS ID. You trying to see me, but you can't though. I spit the game like the pharmacy. Check it. My goal to be an entrepreneur is, and I must save money, drive a Honda Accord. And I see you buy stuff that you couldn't afford. Spend it within my means, old and washed adult. That's my new style, like I was the Big Baby. Still baby, but I'm bigger than most that came through. Now I'm looking like a lame dude. Now it's different. BBG, and I'm spitting. Yo, check my whole style with my metabolite, aminoglycosides plus liquid macrolides. When I looked through the tetracycline, I took doxycycline and took amphetamine, and then I took moxicillin with it. My whole style is like Mercer resistant when I resisted, and I'm represented in many places. When I say I invented it, I invented it. When I say I didn't recommend it, I recommended it. When I say I comprehended it. Now tell me, when you say you comprehended it, did you believe that I would ended it with the next style that you could comment with it? When I mean what I commit with it. On February 14th, your style get balanced. That's the valence electron moving balancing. Moving more with the imbalance when neurochemical hit the serotonin. Got your girl moaning off the hormone owning. My whole style like I never fucked. Your whole style like you never lucky. Your whole style like you never touch a bucky. Your whole style like you never had a rubber ducky in the shower. You never had an hour left to go. My whole style coming off it. Lil BBG, man, you couldn't come with me, man. And I got the flow that flows so fluidly. When I spit my shit, that's oh so stupidly. Oh, you think you hit me with the 1, 2, and the 3? My whole style like 4, 5, but not A live. Coming back like Jordan with the 4, 5. Coming back like the 5, 4 reverse when I spit my shit. 8, 2, 4 on some Kobe shit. 24, 8 on some Kobe shit. Where I rock with it.
Fuck, man. Let's go. Shit. I didn't know where
Yeah,
you're gonna take
you wanna try
that.
one more?
Yeah,
Do one
yeah,
more?
yeah. I'm down. I can see the fucking pharmacy background popping up in that. Damn.
I could do all drugs. I could just rap all drugs. All right, check it.
Yeah.
Check it, BBG. I know every drug in NYC. Plus, I smoke the THC. Take a off fixed law of diffusion. The smaller surface area mean you burn the area. When I take the area in half the diameter, that's like when I took your girl and put her in iambic parameter with my parameters. Mix the PK equals C3 C3P plus 4 key. That means that's my whole equation for how I count a key. When I count a key up, you could think you could match me on my re-up, but you couldn't match what I put in one blunt, what I make in 1 month, what I put in one touch. Now I do it to 1 milligram flex with the 35 XC. That's a green pill, you circle red and white and green. Now you count it. Now you see my style out. 30 milligram of amoxicillin style now. Now you want to check with me. You call the doctor on the pharmacy. I say, no side effects. I'm like the vaccine, plus I spit my rap speed. And I give you swollen balls like Nicki Cousin. And I'm making more money than Nicki doesn't. And I got more money than Nicki Parker. You can hit me with my shit when I spit my shit, but I'm the next Peter Parker. Living sunny side with no Mary Jane. But I got the Gwen Stacy. I call it Gwen Sticky when I smoke the sticky icky, and my style leave you sickly. And I got a hickey on my shit. Now I need some sick leave, cause I fucked up with the hickey dicky with my dicky. Now she's not so picky, and I hit my whole style. She used to say icky. Now she see me flashing like Ross Ricky with my whole shit, and I keep the blicky, but not too much if it's not so sticky. Coming up so side off my side like Maverick, like a old western, like John Ford movies did. Just like the Beatles did, John McCartney with my Beatles kid. And I did the shit. When I say I did the shit, that just mean I invented it.
So there we have it, another episode of the Rap Music Plug podcast presented by QLC TV. I hope this episode gave you some new perspectives and insights into what the greatest art form known to man in hip-hop music has to offer. If you want to support the show in the most meaningful way possible, it would be my absolute honor to have you as a patron in the new Rap Music Plug podcast Patreon. Through this Patreon, you will be getting exclusive content such as bonus episodes, exclusive album recommendations, exclusive playlists, early access to episodes, and more. And above all, though, you will be able to support the show directly in a way that will not only justify the crazy amount of time I spend on this show already, but allow me to cover some of the expenses related to supporting all of these great artists that we cover on the show through the website, and will allow us to sustain and build on this amazing growth that the RMPP has experienced recently. Big shout out to Dano of Free Music Empire, Levy, Mahima, Jeff, Fatman Toom, and Khalid for your generous support through the Patreon. I really appreciate it. So if you have any questions about any of the Patreon stuff, or just want to keep tabs on the show, interact with me on rap music and all the great stuff that we can talk about, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at rapmusicplugpod, or shoot me an email at qlctv.podcast@gmail.com. You can also rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify as well. But that's enough self-promotion for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Peace.